Sometimes when you think about more, sometimes a feeling of worthiness or unworthiness for the more sweeps in, and it sort of keeps you from going in.
Well, then,
Could you comment?
If that comes up, that means you've got this lack consciousness or this unworthy vibration that's still active within you, that lots of opportunities are going to come your way to work the bugs out of. In other words, and if you don't work the bugs out of them on a regular basis, you'll wake up at 4 o'clock in the morning with a dream about it. In other words, you'll have just lots of opportunities to work the bugs out of that. From inside the vortex, the mantra of source is more. That's why you were willing. In other words, you could have remained in the contentment of pure positive energy, except you know that expansion is where all of the exhilaration of life is. So you say, I'll come into a physical experience and I'll stir things up for the express purpose of more. But what the more is you're reaching for is the exhilaration factor that we're talking about. It's not more stuff and more cars.
Right.
It's more alignment. It's more of me. It's more clarity. It's more being who I am. It's more understanding. It's more expansion. It's more. More is the best word that parallels the eternal nature of your being. It's the best one. They are identical sentiments. You're constantly going to be more. You see, when you're in the vortex and up to speed with who you are, there's no discord with the more, with the expansion, because vibrationally speaking, you became more, and it's not keeping up with the more that makes you feel uncomfortable. So let's say that you learn to keep up with who you've become, and you're finding contentment and satisfaction in that, but then from inside the vortex, you look out and you see someone not living as well as you're living. Esther watched a movie last night. Jerry had fallen asleep, and Esther looked and looked and looked for something that would be somehow a little pleasant. It was not an easy task.
I know the feeling.
And she found a movie that she was sure by the title of it was going to take her into the vortex. I can just watch this and I'll be there. Because the movie was called The Pursuit of Happiness.
Right. Oh my God.
It was called The Pursuit of Happiness.
Right.
And then she proceeded to watch one of her favorite actors in the world struggle harder than she's ever watched anybody struggle. And she watched the universe just beat up on this poor guy and his cute little kid over and over and over and over and over again until Esther said, kill me now, just kill me now. It was irrational how horrible this guy's life was going. Nobody should be treated like that by anybody, you see. And while the movie was not very vibrationally accurate, Esther noted, on many places, she did also notice that she began feeling guilty about her good life. She began thinking about how many little kids are looking for a place to sleep tonight and they don't have a place to sleep. And she thought, when Jerry wakes up, I'm going to ask him if we can't go find some of those people who don't have a place to sleep, and if we can't figure out how we can get them a place to sleep. She was so outside of her vortex, feeling guilty about the magnificent life that she is living. Well, what we said to her is, come into the vortex, come into the vortex, come into the vortex, come into the vortex. Do not allow yourself to see the distorted view of life. And understand that from in the vortex, you're doing all that you can do in helping people to understand. In other words, this movie did depict something that is rather accurate. It depicted someone banging it out with action, banging it out the hard way, occasionally getting into alignment, but mostly just banging it out the hard way. In other words, if it does anything, if you watch it, and we don't recommend it, it will remind you of what we just concluded together. Get in the vortex and then follow the impulse.
Thank you.
Get in the vortex and then follow the impulse. The man would have $6 in his wallet, all of which he needed for dinner tonight. And one of his working associates, who was very flush with money, who had just forgotten his wallet upstairs, said, loan me $5, I'll pay you back tomorrow. And there he was in the place of not wanting to admit that he only had $6. So he gave over the $5, and Esther is thinking, how can everything keep happening to this person? Because when you feel that way, That is the way life treats you, you see.
Okay.
Once you get in the vortex, we want you to remember that the same vortex that is there, that is calling you in and tending to you and supporting you and organizing for you and attracting all cooperative components, everyone has a vortex like that. In other words, no one is being left out of that. They can leave themselves out of it, but no one is being left out of it.
All right. I understand that part. Thank you.
Yes,
Thanks so
indeed.
much.